You said Sunday about Tolman, that he had earned that opportunity to come out there, and obviously he reinforced that tonight.
Yeah, I think his three-run shot kind of woke us up a little bit and ignited us, because we certainly were flat. We weren't doing much of anything, or we didn't come out and pitch it real well at first. Our ABs in the first were pretty non-competitive, and defensively we're not real sharp either, but I think he kind of woke us up and got us back into that thing. But yeah, I mean, we put him in there because he competes, and he showed that again tonight.
What did you make of Brady's outing? Because it seemed like for periods there it could have been worse than 3 runs in 3 innings.
Well, we've asked a lot of him. I mean, that's he's gonna take the baseball whenever he's asked. It wasn't his sharpest performance. I think he'd tell you the same thing. But he competed, and it just wasn't real sharp tonight, which that happens sometimes.
I remember after the Washington State game, you were kind of saying that Eric was one of the young guys, and maybe the lights got to him in the first little bit. Have you been impressed by how he's bounced back from that in the last couple of weeks?
That's the thing about freshmen. I mean, you keep running them out there. It's probably going to be a little up and down, but once they start to figure it out, once they start to settle in, he's a talented baseball player. We recruited him as a two-way guy, and I think he's proven he's certainly getting it done on the mound for us, and then off to a good start on the offensive side of it. But the more he plays, the more he's going to settle in.
He said he had some power in high school, so I guess maybe this didn't surprise you that he could.
He said he had some power.
That's what he said.
Of course he did. No, of course he did. No, he did. I think, in fact, one of the games that we went to see him, I think when we saw the pitch, I think he was hitting too. I think he hit a home run, if I'm not mistaken. I think when Cat was there. So yeah, and he's been dialed in. I mean, he's been taking good batting practice, working on a couple things, and it's real. Yeah, I mean, that's not an accident.
Were you worried at all at the beginning of this and how it started, and just kind of going down the same track as the last couple midweek games?
No, I mean, not worried about, not about like the result piece of it on that. More worried about us pitching behind, from a guy that's normally ahead. So, a lot of baseball game left. We knew we were going to use a lot of guys tonight. I wish that it would have been a little sharper at the beginning, but I figured we were going to score some runs off of their stuff, so I wasn't worried about the result. More so just how the performance piece of it.
Carter was saying the other week that this is the time of the season that he thinks can be the toughest sometimes, especially for young teams, just because you start to get like some fatigue and you're not super close to the end of the regular season yet. How do you kind of get your guys through this part of the year?
Got dialed in. I mean, that's you got, in our case, 55 of these things, and it's a constant reminder too. I mean, this place, we brand ourselves MLBU. You remind these guys. You say you want to do this for a living. We only play 55 here, so this is I don't want to say it's even a great test, because it's a fraction of what they would play beyond here. So it's all about up here. I mean, if you tell yourself you're tired or you're given to fatigue, that's exactly what you're going to do. Then we got a bunch of baseball players, a bunch of good kids that work hard. So I don't have to say too much to them, but you're just constantly making sure that we just continue to strive to play good baseball every day.
Have you been surprised, looking back on it, how much Mark's pitched?
Not really, because you've watched this. It's strikes play. I keep saying, and I'll say it until the end of the season. If we'll be in a very good position to win if we throw strikes. And I think you understand baseball. Did you see the tempo of the play? I mean, again, Brady's been doing a great job for us up to this point, but he was not sharp. He wasn't effective tonight. And when Mark went in, Mark was pounding the strike zone, and the tempo and the pace of the game picked up. So I'm not surprised, because that's what we expect him to do, is come in and pound the strike zone, let the defense work behind you.
Do you see possibly by the end of this year, maybe next year, that he kind of starts making that transition into maybe a full-time pitcher?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he swings the bat too, but these guys are competitive. They want to play. They're going to do whatever they can to play, whether it's in the lineup or on the mound. I've been a former two-way player, collegiately, professionally, and I tell people when we recruit their kids that are two-way, very rarely do they ever come to me and say, or I'm sorry, very rarely do I ever go to them and say, hey, we're gonna make you do this, or we're gonna make you do that. They usually come to you and say, you know what, I feel like my opportunities are better here. So we're gonna, you know, let it continue to play out because he can swing the bat a little bit too.
Seems like Lincoln's driving the ball a little bit more this year.
This kid's quality at bats. He's stronger. He's a year older. I think he's a good hitter. You know, you look at quality. He may not knock the home run all the time, but if he's got guys in base, those guys are getting on base. Hopper, Torque, and Bishop. If you can throw together a pretty good at bat pretty much every time with those guys on base, you got a pretty good chance to drive some guys in, which is what he's done.
Chaz Montoya bounced back somewhat tonight from the UNLV game. That I'm sure that was big for you to see that too.
Yeah, and you know, I thought he came in, I think, runners at first and second, nobody out, lefty, and you know, still the game to me is kind of anything can happen at that point. He got a big punch out and made some pitches when he needed to. But we're gonna need that guy down the stretch, and he knows that. We've told him that, and that was something to build on tonight for sure.
Jack was asking about kind of this part of the season, but the other thing is you're still trying to get to where you could potentially host.
Right.
So do you think they understand the importance of all these games when it comes to that piece of it?
I hope so, because we talk about it. I mean, you know, and we try to, every game's important. If you want to host, as you've said, we got a lot of baseball left to play. These are the games that you have to win if you want to put yourself, because there's some pretty good teams around the country, and you just don't want to let any get away. And so we're going to treat it that way again. We're going to take one game at a time, but we realize there's a lot left to play. But I also think they do, because we do talk about it, is, you know, we want to be in a conversation for national championship. Well, to do that, I think, you know, you probably want to host. I think gives you the best chance to advance, certainly, in that first round. So, yeah, I mean, I think guys understand that. I do.
You had the 3 errors tonight. Obviously, the rain played a little bit of factor in that. Does that worry you at all as you guys are going into this next weekend series after playing such a great team like Oregon State?
No. What do you mean, the errors?
Yeah, I saw when Lyle Lynn didn't throw the ball down to first base, there was a little bit of yelling. Did that worry you as far as him being a catcher and controlling the game?
Well, Sam Ferry is our starting catcher, so, you know, Lyle did, you know, we got through the midweek game with being able to rest Sam, which is what we wanted to do. You know, that wasn't the best baseball play in the world on that, but you know what, he did his job tonight, which was give us 9 innings behind the plate where we didn't have to use Sam. So I wouldn't say the rain had much to do with the errors tonight. It's maybe just I think Alika, he made the right decision on that play. It was a backhand play. It just kicked up on him, which was a tough play. Swifty came up on him a little bit on that, and I think they showed, and they've shown consistently they're pretty good. And errors are going to happen. Errors are part of the game, but we have a lot of confidence in those guys.
Is that an example almost of their growth, especially on the infield, where they have some of those early errors that come back with the double plays later in the game?
And that's exactly right. I mean, it's just like, yeah, they booted those plays a little bit, but they're probably not I don't know that anybody, not too many combinations around the country would turn that double play.
Yeah.
The work with the Swift to end that inning. So you just keep playing. You keep, as long as they're staying in it, playing aggressively. I have no issues with that.
Has Spencer's defense also gotten a lot better in your eyes with his?
Yeah, he's worked at it. He really has, and I think it's shown. He's playing much better first base for us.